Forget the billion-dollar empire. Forget the private armies and the golden guns. Right now, you are nothing. You are a ghost in the red dirt of Aguililla. The year is 1970, and the air in Michoacan smells like damp earth and desperation. You are one of 6 brothers, and there isn't enough bread to go around. Your world is a mud brick shack, and the only thing you own is the hunger in your stomach. By the time you are 10, you realize that school is a lie. The books tell you about a world you will never see. So, you walk out. You drop out of the 5th grade because the dirt offers more than the classroom ever could. You spend your days in the avocado groves, your small hands stained dark by the harvest. But you aren't looking at the fruit. You're looking at the men on the ridges, the men with the rifles. They don't look hungry. They look like kings. At 14, the transition happens. You stop picking avocados and you start guarding the crop, marijuana. You are a child, standing in the blazing Mexican sun, clutching a rifle that is taller than you are. You aren't playing soldier. This is your life. If a truck approaches, you don't run. You click the safety off. You learn that power isn't given, it is taken with lead and a steady hand. But you look at these hills, these jagged, beautiful mountains, and you realize they are a cage. You are a king of the dirt, but you want the world. In the mid-80s, you make a choice. You head north. You cross the border into California, not for a job, but for an apprenticeship. You aren't looking for the American dream. You are looking for the blueprint. San Francisco, the Bay Area. You are a small fish in a massive, dark ocean. Selling heroin in the back of smoky bars, learning how the Americans move, learning how they fail. You think you're a ghost, but the law is starting to see your shadow.
Part 2. The Double Life. California was a cold teacher. Redwood City, San Francisco. You aren't a king here. You're a number, a statistic in a DEA file. You spend your nights in the shadows of the Bay Area, moving heroin like a ghost. But ghosts eventually get caught. The handcuffs are cold against your wrists. The steel bars of a California cell are your new horizon. 1986, 1992. You are deported. You return. You are caught again. By the mid-90s, the Americans are done with you. They kick you out of the country for the last time, thinking they've cleaned their streets. They don't realize they've just sharpened a blade. You return to Jalisco, but you aren't going back to the avocado fields. You've seen how the machine works. You've seen the hunger of the American addict. Now, you need a shield. You do the unthinkable. You put on a uniform. A police officer in Cabo Corrientes. You wear the badge. You carry the state-issued pistol. You walk the beat like a protector of the peace. But under the blue shirt, your heart is still black. You aren't catching criminals. You're clearing the road for them. You learn which judges can be bought. You learn which colonels have a price. You are a bridge between the law and the lawless. You join the Mencho Cartel, the Valencia clan. You marry into the family, marrying Rosalinda, the sister of the bosses. You aren't just a cop anymore. You are the clan's most trusted shadow. By day, you salute the flag. By night, you're the one standing over the bodies of the rivals. You realize that a man with a badge and a gun is twice as dangerous as a man with just a gun. The world thinks you're a servant of the state, but in the dark, you are building a list of everyone who stands in your way. The badge is starting to feel heavy. It's time to take it off and show them who you really are. Part 3. The Birth of the Monster.
The peace of the old ways. It was never going to last. In the world of the cartels, a king only stays on the throne until his shadow grows too long. The Mencho Cartel, the Valencia clan, they were your family. They were your teachers. But in 2003, the pillars began to crumble. The leaders were captured. The structure was rotting from the inside. You are standing in the middle of a civil war. The cartel splinters into 2 factions, La Resistencia and Los Torcidos, the twisted ones. They call you a traitor. They say you turned your back on the old guard. But you aren't a traitor. You are a visionary. You see that the old way of doing business, handshakes, and family loyalty, is dead. To survive in the New Mexico, you don't need a family. You need a private army. You take the lead of Los Torcidos. You don't just fight, you annihilate. You realize that to win a war, you must be more terrifying than the enemy. You create a brand. You call it the Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generación, the CJNG. You aren't just a drug dealer anymore. You are a general. You start by purging the rivals from the streets of Guadalajara, leaving messages in blood that even the government is too afraid to read. You introduce the Mata Zetas, the Zeta killers. You take the fight to the most violent cartel in history, and you beat them at their own game. You aren't just defending territory, you are colonizing it. The white t-shirt you wore in the fields, it's gone. Now you wear a tactical vest. You carry a gold-plated rifle. And you start to realize that the state isn't your master anymore. You are the state. The CJNG logo is starting to appear on every wall, every bridge, and every body. The rooster is starting to crow.
Part 4. The Lord of the Roosters. Power is a drug, and you just took a lethal dose. By 2012, you aren't just a name on a DEA list. You are a sovereign state. You have your own tax system, your own courts, your own borders. You move your headquarters to the shadows of the Sierra Madre. You are El Señor de los Gallos, the Lord of the Roosters. Why? Because like a fighting cock, you never back down, and you never stop bleeding until the job is done. You look at the Mexican military and you don't see a threat. You see a rival corporation. So, you begin the militarization. You don't buy pistols, you buy RPG-7s. You don't buy vans, you build monstruos, armored trucks plated with steel that can shrug off 50 caliber rounds. Your soldiers don't look like gang members, they look like special forces, tactical vests, night vision, specialized training. You aren't running a cartel anymore. You are running a private army of 5,000 men who would die for a nod of your head. May 1st, 2015. The government tries to humiliate you. Operation Jalisco. They send a Cougar helicopter filled with elite soldiers to pluck you from the mountains. You don't run. You look up at the sky and you give the order. A single RPG-7 projectile tears through the air. It strikes the tail rotor. The helicopter, the pride of the Mexican Air Force, spirals into the dirt in a ball of orange fire. 8 soldiers dead. You just sent a message to the president. The sky over Jalisco belongs to Mencho. You are now the most wanted man in the world. A $15 million bounty is placed on your head. But how do you catch a man who lives like a ghost? You hide in plain sight. You live in a wooden shack with a dirt floor while controlling a $1 billion empire. You sleep with a rifle in your arms, and the rooster logo is tattooed on the soul of every man you own. But the fire you started, it's starting to burn both ways. The stress is starting to rot you from the inside. Part 5. The Gilded Cage. The higher you climb, the thinner the air becomes. By 2022, you aren't just the most wanted man in Mexico. You are a prisoner of your own success. The $15 million bounty has turned every shadow into a potential assassin. You retreat deeper into the jagged embrace of the Sierra Madre, trading luxury villas for wooden shacks with dirt floors. But it isn't the soldiers or the drones that are catching up to you. It's your own blood. Your kidneys are failing. The man who shot down a military helicopter is now tethered to a machine just to stay alive. You build a private hospital in the middle of the pine forest, hidden under camouflage netting and guarded by 200 men. Doctors are kidnapped or brought into the mountains blindfolded to perform dialysis in the dark. You are a ghost, living in a sterile, silent room while the hum of the medical monitor marks the rhythm of your life. No cell phones, no radios, no contact with the outside world. You rule an empire worth billions, but you can't even step outside to breathe the mountain air without a drone spotting your heat signature. The Lord of the Roosters is starting to look like a broken bird in a golden cage. You are wealthy enough to buy a country, but you can't buy a new pair of kidneys. You sit in the dark, watching the blue light of the dialysis machine pulse like a heartbeat. You are lonely. And in the world of the cartels, Loneliness is a luxury you can't afford. Because when a king gets lonely, he starts looking for a reason to reach out. And that reach is exactly what the DEA is waiting for.